So when I think of saunas, the sauna category, you've got the dry, Finnish hot sauna where it gets really hot. I think of it like Death Valley. So it's super hot and it makes you sweat because it's like surface heat. But then you have this infrared category, and most seems to be focused in the far infrared.
Right.
And it doesn't get as hot in the sauna, but it warms you up from the inside, you know, because it's penetrating. I love the infrared category. I love the full spectrum side of things because it just seems more natural, like what you would get from the sunshine. So I kind of toss the surface heat category out. Then when you get into the far infrared or the full spectrum, you get wooden and portable. And I'm not really a huge fan of the wooden ones. I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I want to see what you think too, but I love the portable sauna idea where your head can stick out, because your head's, I feel like, a little bit more heat sensitive, can't handle heat as well if you're like in a big box. And then my other thing is, well, a lot of the saunas that are made with wood are, you know, they're putting like different stains and glues and things, and then, you know, there's companies that make them without that stuff. But then I'm like, you read books like, gosh, who was that lady? It was Detoxify or Die. Sherry Rogers, and she's going through research of like, oh yeah, you use far infrared saunas. Research has shown that asbestos, DDT, heavy metals, like all this stuff comes out of you.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, well if that comes out of you and then absorbs in the wood, does that mean that next time you go in or somebody else goes in, you can re-intoxify? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know about this wood thing. And then found out about your guys' company, and I'd had a different company's far infrared, and got yours, and I'm like, okay, this is it. It's full spectrum, low EMF, it's cheaper, like it's a no-brainer. And then of course I see people at the San Diego County Fair, and I'm like, why doesn't Robbie have a booth here and just take over the but that's the goal, is to get this message out there. So
right.
So what is your opinion about portable saunas versus the wooden saunas versus like the Finnish?
Sure.
Is really most of the health healing benefits you feel personally in the full spectrum infrared?
Yeah, that's without a doubt.
Okay.
And as I was alluding to earlier, the science on understanding exactly with the benefit of having all three wavelengths, the body utilizing all three, is still evolving.
Okay.
But we clearly clinically see a major difference between just the far and having full spectrum. That being said, what you pointed out was right. There is both the Finnish format and the steam room type is what's called convection heat. That means that you have an element that heats the air, and the ambient air then heats up the body. And what infrared is a wavelength, and so it doesn't heat the ambient air. It actually vibrates or resonates. We call it bioresonance because it's resonating with the water inside of your body.
Okay.
So it's a wavelength that's penetrating in. And most people don't realize that there's a layer of fat that's just under your skin that's designed to protect your insides from extreme temperatures, either heat or cold. And so that's a layer of fat. And so, but most fat molecule is made up mostly of water. And so the wavelength, within the infrared spectrum, there's a frequency that harmonizes or resonates at the same wavelength as the water inside of us. And so the wavelength seamlessly penetrates through that protection layer. And then it's now seeking the most dense parts of our bodies, which is our muscle mass or organ tissues. And the frequencies actually go and they harbor in those areas. And then they create a vibration. The vibration gives out a warmth. And that's what you said earlier about an inside heat or an internal heat.
Yep.
So we call it a biothermal because it's creating a heat inside of us.
Okay.
And that really creates the platform for a whole bunch of physiological changes, because if I'm warming up an organ or I'm warming up a muscle group, and those are generally the more vascular parts of your body, now I've got a warmed muscle, and the muscle is warming up the vessel, and the vessel is now expanding because of what's called vasodilation, as you know. And so vasodilation occurs for two reasons with infrared frequency. One, from the warmth, and secondly, infrared frequency actually emits a transient gas that's called nitric oxide, and that's also a vasodilator. So we've got two major events that are occurring that are changing the vascular structure of the body, increasing blood flow.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and so most of our devices are cleared as FDA medical class 2 devices. So we've gone through all the screening and They
The
call
fun
them-
stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I want to open up a vein when I talk about how much money and time we spent on that, but it's a necessary evil, especially if we're working with the medical community, because many of the doctors really need to understand that some of the agencies are there to protect the people and also protect the medical community. And so, because infrared is a category that the FDA feels that they can opine or cover or feel like they've got some say in the matter of how it's managed, we actually go along with all the registrations and that are necessary. And it's viewed it's very popular within the U.S., but when you come outside of the U.S. and they look at the medical devices that are cleared by FDA, they're even stronger viewed outside the U.S., because that seems to be the platform that most of the world looks at as for credentialing.
Okay.
So back to our story. So there is distinct differences between the wooden formats and the portable format. And we have many millionaires that have Park Avenue apartments that prefer that's when we did make wooden ones initially. But we did discover something that you did highlight a few minutes ago, and that is the woods. What most people don't realize, by law, all woods that come into the U.S. that are foreign have to be sprayed with DDTs, so that there's chemicals that are leaching into those woods. And the reason why is because the U.S. government doesn't want woods or plants or food sources from outside the country that have foreign bacteria or foreign insects to come into the U.S. So now what I did...
Say that again. You said all woods that come outside of the U.S.
All woods that are imported into the U.S. have to be sprayed by law with DDTs. Okay? So Robbie was really smart. See, before I found a company in Bentonoff, Iowa, that makes our wooden saunas currently, this dates back about 12 years ago, I farmed my woods in Canada. So Canadian cedar, sent it to China, had the woods tooled, had the mechanics and electronics put in, had them repackaged, and then sent it to the U.S. So I was really smart, because I had my wood sprayed twice, out of Canada and out of China into the U.S., right?
How quickly did you find that one out?
Well, I got about 9 months in. I mean, I knew that I wanted the wooden sauna category, but I wasn't aware of that. And then as we became more embraced into the medical community, and then the doctors were presenting to us more cases of people that were chemical sensitive, it became really, and I became cognizant that in fact the woods were being sprayed. Then I stopped importing my woods, and I searched for a domestic company that I could work with that would use our specifications and build the cabinets and the electronics the way we wanted. And we found an amazing group in Bentonoff, Iowa. The woods are natural aspen wood. It's made in America. There are some other unusual attributes to our format, but that's probably the most global thing to think about.
Okay.
Because you can buy a wooden sauna at SportsMart, at Dick's,
Costco.
Yeah, exactly.
Online,
for about $1,000. But you're going to have a challenge because of the woods.
The Healthy Hotline is your go-to resource for leading-edge health technologies and is powered by Therasage. Therasage brings unique, healthy infrared healing energy to the public in easy-to-use and affordable, high-quality products. Subscribe to the Healthy Hotline and get a discount on your next Therasage purchase. Go to solgood.org/healthy hotline. That's SOLGOOD.org/healthy hotline.